9:16.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you're here. A lot of people are traveling today, and I thought you were one of them. Is new, so you can meet Miguel.
Hey,
I
nice
was
to
just
meet you.
bragging on you about how I've helped you teach you sales, but that's okay. I usually go through wins and losses, and wow, people are just chiming in here. Look at this. Okay. This is the late class. This is the 8:15 class is arriving. So one of the things we need to know and honey, you're on my computer? Yeah, because your mic is not on, so you might need to go over to mine. Anyway, if we don't have a system, by default, we're going to use the prospect system. Okay. And the process system is sort of like this, right? They're selling, they're buying, we're selling. But as I've always said, I don't want you to go sell. I want you to find the truth. Find out what's going on. Find out if they really need us. Most people do, by the way. Most people who we end up sitting down with, there's a reason, but you want to find out that reason. You need to know their why. Or sometimes we say you need to know their pain. Where does it hurt? Pain is a great motivator.
Yeah,
People,
it's all about the pain point.
yeah, people buy more for pain than they do for pleasure.
This is true.
I used to sell sailboats. I know how hard that is. Nobody buys a sailboat because it's hurting them not to have one. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a luxury item. It's completely different.
So, a few rules about our selling system. It's a process of developing an opportunity from start to finish. I'm reading this, I'm sorry. But our system begins when we meet them all the way up to when we lose them. I talk to people after they leave. I want to know, why'd you leave? Was it us? Was it something we did? Could we have done something better? Hey, if you need anything, let me know. We'll get you anything you need. We're not your enemy. Just because we didn't do a good job doesn't mean we won't help you in the future. And this is work. People have come back. Also, sometimes they give you good feedback. Well, you could have done this, and that. I've also found out it's better to ask that sooner than later. But the reason we have a system, and I want you to stick to the system, and everybody here wants you to stick to the system, is because you know where you are. You have a spot. You know what point in the system you're at. And if you know it's not working, you can back up. We're going to qualify people soon, early on, so we can save time. Hey, Miguel, you got a lot of time, you got a lot of money. Which is more important?
Which is more important to me, having more time is more important. The money comes and goes, but the time keeps going. Doesn't You can't get that back. That's
Exactly.
my opinion on time and money.
Yeah, there's no getting time back. I've looked for
Right.
God's 800 number.
Yep.
I would love to give him a call, say, hey, I'll get you $1 million for another 10 years.
Yep. Yep.
I haven't found the number. I dialed 1-8, what was it? I dialed GOD. And someone said, may I help you? It's the same as an INF for information. We want to fight up front. If there's going to be something we know is going to be a problem, we'll bring it up right away. Let's discuss the elephant in the room. Before we go any further, are you comfortable? They're really like the company they're with. If we're going to start talking about other options, are you comfortable leaving the company you're with? And I heard Kathleen say this to someone yesterday. She says, we'd rather fix the problem you have with the company you have than take you away. Now, that doesn't make us any money, but it does make us friends. And it's good to have friends, or at least people that trust you. Okay. If we let the client control the process, we're using their system, which I call the buyer seller dance, and we end up giving out free information. We're not there to give. Sandler called it unpaid consulting. I agree with that. We don't want to give out free information. We want to get information. We want people to tell us what's wrong, what's broken, where are we, what can we do? Is there a match? Can we help you? See, so that's what those 7 paint, the little red dots there. We want to find the real problem. Lower the walls means just get them to trust us. Miguel, I told you about that TAON, right? How much time do we have? This is my agenda. This is your agenda. This is the outcome we'd like. And no is okay. That's the
Yep.
first wall lowering procedure. We call that the upfront contract.
Got it.
Then we have a procedure for finding the pain. What's really wrong? And how much is it costing you? If you don't fix it, how much is it going to cost you? Is it going to cost you your job, your company, or whatever? And so that way we can help determine the budget. And we want to find all the decision makers because Kathleen and I can tell you many times we thought we had the deal, and all of a sudden in comes a backup decision maker. You know, a CPA, a lawyer, a brother-in-law, or somebody comes in and says, no, you don't need this. And obviously, let's eliminate let's get a commitment. No ambiguity. If people say like, well, we'd probably do it. If you said to me, well, we're probably going to do it, you know what my next question is?
When?
No, what does probably mean?
Yep.
What do you mean by that? You may be doing it. I want a commitment. I want them to be 10 out of 10. On a scale from 1 to 10, how committed are you to doing this? I want to hear 10. And we also need to remove any mutual mystification, any mysteries. We want everything disclosed. And that's why we always go for transparency. That's one of our T's. Here's the old traditional system. You know, you get the appointment, you make the present, you give a quote, you try to close, you overcome objections. And then you find out who makes the decision, and then you discount it to help that other guy. Then you follow up. There's no coincidence that the initials for follow up are FU. Okay, that's not a coincidence. This time you're often in voicemail jail. We've discovered that a lot of current salesmen who use this system, they spend 50 to 60% of their time following up with people who said they want to think about it. Jason, I think I asked you this once before, and you probably know. What's the percentage of people who said I want to think about it that actually come back and do it?
I don't remember the exact number, but I know it's very low. It was like
It's in the
20%.
single digits.
Okay.
I think it's 5 or 6% for
Yeah, I mean,
they've
you
done.
didn't break the wall. There's something that you did that is not convincing them. You know what I mean? It's you didn't hit their pain point. It's something that we did if they keep giving you the runaround on
Or
a product,
something-
especially on a product like this.
Or something we failed to do,
Yeah,
or something
either
that
or.
they didn't disclose. Because that's why
Right.
you want the transparency. You want to find out what's really wrong and who overcomes objections. Can we overcome objections?
Sure.
Only they can overcome objections. If they say, well, I don't want to give this up. I don't want to give up the cool portal that ADP has. I'm not going to sit there and sell against ADP. I'm going to say, well, then why are you talking to me? If you don't want to give it, are we done? Are you going to stay there then? You can save me a lot of time if you just tell me we're done right now. I love a no. That means I can get out of there. I can go fishing or whatever, go flying.
Yeah, move on to the next client.
Yeah. Some will, some won't. Some will, some won't. So what? Next, So we
But
have.
I mean, but can I ask you a question, Will? But there are objections that we could overcome. I mean, that's part of selling, right? A no,
They have to overcome them, Miguel.
they have to overcome them, but there has to be some sort of, I mean, that's when the sale starts, no? When the guy says no to something.
If somebody gives you an objection, and how about this? You give someone an objection and they start telling you why you're wrong. Does that make you feel good?
No, I mean,
Because remember, sales is an emotional decision. It's only justified by logic. They have to have the emotion. They've got to believe in it. It's emotional. We have to make it emotional. That's why I use these 5 T's. Until they trust us, they don't want to, I think it was Jeffrey Gitomer who said, all things being equal, people buy from people they trust.
mm-hmm. That's true.
And guess what? All things being unequal, people still buy from people they trust. People will pay more to be with someone they trust. They just do. And then until they trust us, we're not going to find out what's really wrong, are we?
Nope.
We won't get the real truth. So that's the problem. We need to get their trust. And the only way to get their trust is by being trustworthy, being transparent. Let them know what's going on. Were you going to make money on this? Well, yeah, it's my job. It's my business. I do this for money. Is that okay? Would you do what you do if they weren't paying you? You know, I mean, I'd say things like that. Well, yes, of course I'm trying to make money. I'm here to make money, but guess where I make the most money? I make the most money on people that stay with me for 10 to 15 to 20 years because we do such a great job. That's my motivation. I want to make you so happy that not only do you never leave me, you start sending me all your friends. I'll say that to them. I want you to be so happy that you tell everybody about us. Okay. That's the truth. And once they start trusting you and know where you're coming from, then they'll start telling you what's really wrong. Do people like to tell you what's wrong with their business? Not till they trust you. It's like someone telling you their baby's ugly. They're not going to do it. So we got to be transparent. We got to get commitments. Until they're committed to working with us, we've got nothing. And every solution we present, it's not about saving money. It's not about doing something quicker. It's about fixing what's broken. You got to remember that. We fix what's broken. And also, I undersell and overdeliver. Don't do the opposite. How many times have we been people that oversold and then underdelivered? Do you like those people?
Not even a little bit.
I hate it when people do that to me. They promise me something and they don't deliver it. Well, I didn't know the circumstances. Then why did you promise it? That's why I don't make promises I can't keep. And you shouldn't either. Don't make promises you can't keep. And remember to do it at the right time. If you do something at the wrong time, even if it's right, it's still wrong. And then touch is obvious. Stay in touch. Because what's the best thing about a good client? They bring us more clients.
Yeah.
One good client can bring in 3 or 4 more. Remember that thing? They'll tell someone, everyone bring one. And then, you just keep doubling, exponential, geometric expansion, just like we're having now with Miguel and Mauricio. Any questions on this slide? Okay. I like this system because those are the steps I use. I build a relationship to build trust. I set expectations with that TAON, time, agenda, outcome, know is okay. Find out what's wrong, find out how much it's costing them so I know how much they're willing to spend to fix it. Find out who besides them is going to be in the decision. And it's usually a cast of characters. It's not just, very few people make the decision all by themselves. They'll tell you they do. And then you say, well, yeah, but don't you get help? Isn't there somebody you run it by? There's someone at the bottom of my screen here I have to run everything by. If I don't, I'm making a big mistake. She's making that little face right there. See? You have to have the commitment. Moving forward without a commitment. What happens if we move forward and we give somebody a quote without a commitment? Let me ask you, Miguel, has anybody ever brought you a quote from someone else?
What, for me to like beat it or match it or whatever? Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Do you like that? Do you like it when they do that with your quotes?
No.
No, me either. It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't give quotes. I tell them, look, we're just going to be in your budget, whatever your budget is. And then, only then, when we have the commitment that we're fixing your problems, we're within your budget, you're the decision makers, then we show them the solutions. And then, like I said, the post sell is when we follow up with the touches. This system works. Do other systems work? Yes, they do. But this one seems to work the most efficiently of all the systems I've been in. It's the least amount of time spent to get the most amount of clients. And that's my goal. I have no idea why that picture's there. I don't know why I put it there. But some of the advantages are you can back up, you can change the elements, you can move things around, but the steps are the same. You don't get shopped. You reduce the number of lies you get, and I love this, you optimize your time. Okay. And there's only 4 acceptable outcomes when you meet with somebody. Obviously, a yes is your favorite, but you know what? The second one is no. If they say, no, we're not interested, what has that just done for you?
Freed up your time.
Yeah. Now you can take that one off the list. Miguel said something last week. He says, I like to have 100 on the list. 100 prospects. That's ambitious. I'm happy with 10.
50. I said
All right,
50.
50 is good, but 10?
Yeah, with 50, with my pipeline with 50, I can do 3, 4 deals a week, 5 deals a week.
But if one goes bad, you don't care, right?
Right. It's a numbers game. I've gotten a lot of no's from people because I built the relationship. I find out that they're in a good position, like they're in a good spot. If I look at the last few invoices or whatever it is that I get from them, and if they're in a good place, a good PEO, or they're getting good service and they seem to be happy, I tell them, I'm like, listen, I'm not even gonna try to move you. I'm not even gonna quote you.
Why?
You're in a good spot. With that, usually 10 times out of 10, I'll usually get that person to buy from me later. But more importantly, I get referrals from those
Yes.
people almost immediately.
I was waiting for you to say that. Hey,
Yeah, because I don't sound
you're
like a used
good.
car salesman, you know what I mean? Where I'm trying to snag somebody else. Listen, people don't want to do business with somebody that's trying to take somebody else's business. You know what I mean?
You're
And
in a good place. Stay there.
Yeah.
But do you know anyone
Yeah.
who isn't? Give me 3 names.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we can get a clear future. You know what? We do need to change it, but we don't want to change it right now. Let's talk at the first of the year. This is why we've been so busy this last month. We get that a lot. For some reason, people like to switch in January, even though they should have switched in December. Even February. Our busiest month of the year historically, I looked, is August. No idea why. People will switch with us. I guess when it slows down in the summer, they decide this is the time to change payroll systems. So a clear future, like call me and I like to ask them, okay, you're not interested now. Give me a number, 6, 9, or 12. Well, what's that? How many months should I wait before I call you again? If they say anything but 12, I go, really? 9? Why? You think is there an event happening? Is there some reason? And I go right back into solving problems. And of course, if we screw it up, which, as most of you know, I screwed up a big one on Monday or whatever day that was, we get a lesson learned. And by the way, he came back, was it Honey Friday? We had a good talk with him, and he's like, yeah, things are good with Greg again. So those are the 4 outputs, okay? I like that button. That looks like an easy button, doesn't it? It's not easy. It's just doing one more. Keep doing it. How do you get good at something?
Repetition.
Well, by being bad at it, right?
Yeah. Right.
First you're bad at it, then you learn, don't do that again. That's why we do wins and losses at the beginning of most of our classes, because we want to learn from other people's mistakes besides our own.
That's funny. I don't know if you guys know this guy. This guy Ryan Serhant.
Yeah.
He's on that. He's a $1 million producer for real estate. He's got his own show on Netflix. He's really, really good. I follow him on social media, and he says he doesn't count his wins. He counts his losses and focuses on those. You know what I mean?
That's where you learn.
Yeah. So I kind of got that from him. I thought it was pretty
That
interesting.
is so correct.
Yeah.
So that's all I really wanted to cover today. I really didn't expect so many people to be here because I knew so many were traveling. Thought we might do
Honestly,
some.
Honestly, I'm glad I got to join because I learned a lot.
That's just an
Um,
overview. Now, what the main thrust of this class is to go into every one of those things in detail.
yeah, yeah.
Practice.
Yep, yep. So I'm looking forward to getting on the phone today. Let's chat after this call, Will. I have a few questions for you.
I probably got till 10:15. Then remember I told you I've got those three Pilates pilot. Jason, I got my big client here, my Pilates clients here this week. I'm training his three pilots.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to try to get a lot of video of it too. I even asked Daniela to come over and take some video so we could get some, but we'll be working on the sim and in the classroom. I think that's why Kata was looking in the window here. There's probably a couple of them here already. They might have finished their lunch, their breakfast at IHOP, which I couldn't go to because I'm devoted to you people so much. Anybody have a something that a lesson learned, a takeaway from today that they think, wow, I didn't know that, or what had that reinforced? Miguel, I want to save you for last. Okay. How about Kathleen? Do you have one? Your mic is not on, honey. We can't hear you. You're gonna all right. While she's doing that, how about Grace? Do you have a takeaway from today? Besides that, I made you get up and the cats moved.
Yeah, that was so cute. They were just laying on me. And anyway, yeah, it's just talking about how you're not trying to be aggressively selling to things. So,
I would I would hate it if someone comes to me and says, "Boy, you've got a good salesman there." I don't want to hear that. Well, that guy's a salesman. Whenever they say that about somebody, is it good? No. How do you get your mic working?
Hopefully, can you
There
hear
you
me?
are.
Okay. Yeah, the setting was off.
Okay.
It's a good reminder of uh, our motto. We don't, we're not trying to be pushy or have pressure on anybody, and um, just we're trying to help. That's the basic thing.
And everyone needs to pray for Kathleen today because tomorrow she does her first employernomics presentation before her leads group or her Great Orlando Business Network, and she's nervous. She's going to be great. Look at her; she can't fail, but she's nervous. So let's take care of her. And Jason, what do you got for today?
Well, just the reinforcement of this whole unpaid consulting thing. I ran into that a ton in the helicopter business.
Oh,
Because
aviation. So much unpaid consulting.
because there aren't that many of us around, right? So that's the problem of becoming an expert is people come talk to you about it. And I had a lot of students like buying helicopters and stuff. And, I spent one guy, I mean, hundreds of hours over the last couple of years. And even when you realize the problem with it is even when you realize it's happening and you need to dial it back, you can't dial that back without looking like a jerk. Um, so I saw that cycle happen. I knew I was in that cycle. I didn't know how to get out of it without, you know, them thinking that I'm trying to get money from them or whatever. So it's a hard cycle to break.
Little tip. If they like you get on a phone call with them or they're with you in person and they're just not letting you go, I do this. Excuse me, I have to pee. And I run off to the restroom and forget to call them back or whatever.
Yeah. That in my experience, I feel, and when I train my guys, it's about having control without them even knowing that you're controlling them. Like
That's right.
most people will absolutely try to deviate and get you off of your, I don't call it a script, but at least there's like a guide that I follow that every salesperson should follow. There's a step-by-step guide that you don't have to have it written out in front of you if you know what you're doing, but every once in a while I will have it written out in front of me because I find myself going all over the place. So if you go step by step and somebody tries to deviate from that, then you gotta nicely kind of bring them right back in. Because if you don't have control over them, you're never going to be able to sell them and more, get them to give you their money. That's
So
for sure.
we got a word, well, a phrase for that, Miguel. It's called wimp junction. And that's something David Sandler came up with, but I like it because it means you get to a point where someone tries to divert you from your system and go to theirs. And if you stand your ground and say, look, no, we're not going there. Let's go back here, or nicely, however you do it, like, hey, we could talk about that another time, but let's get back to this.
Yeah, that's a great question, Mr. Client.
Yeah.
But but I will, we will get there.
Too early. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
we
on
will.
page 9. I'm on page 3,
And telling them it's a great question is kind of, hitting their ego button where,
That's a stroke. We call that a stroke.
They feel like they're smart. Yeah. And then you reel them right back in.
Yes. And that's so true. That's because if you get off your system, you just took the wrong turn at Wimp Junction. That's what we call that.
Yeah.
And we'll be covering that in one whole class about how to avoid that because sometimes they sneak it by you. And my biggest takeaway from this is I remember I used to do the old system, and I can't believe people put up with me. I was selling sailboats. I think I told you guys this is way back in the 80s. This one guy, I would call him and talk. He loved talking to me. We'd talk for 30, 45 minutes every night. It's like you reminded me with the helicopters chase, it's like that. I talk to this guy every night. We talk about sailing. And finally, one day, just because he'd had enough, he just said, all right, I'll buy it. And he turned around and ended up buying it from somebody else. But he did buy the boat.
I have a question. I have a question for you, John. Okay, if you're selling a high ticket item like a helicopter or an airplane, which I've never done, I've sold high ticket items, but it was only real estate, right? So
they're different decisions. Yes.
Yeah, but you find that these, a high ticket item client, he's going to be a lot more savvy than dealing with these contractors. He's going to be able to get you off your game a lot easier. You have to use the same system every single time, no matter whether it's high ticket or low ticket.
Even more so.
Got it.
And I'll explain why. Because, like you said, if you're dealing with somebody who's got more expertise than you, which happens, right? That happens with us very rarely in this field because we kind of know payroll and comp and all that pretty well. Once in a while, you run into somebody that's very experienced, though. And that's when you got to stick to your system of getting information and not giving it.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever find it with Jason, I'm sure you can back me on this, and the helicopters, the planes, the boats, you find yourself there wanting information. And that's when I'll turn around and say, like, well, how important is that? Is that going to make the deal or not? I mean, if we can get you that, then what? You got to turn it back. You have to reverse it. You have to turn it back into questions. And that's true in this business too. Kathleen, if I can use your example, once again, she was at a networking meeting and she went up and said, hey, we sell payroll and workers' comp and human resources, and we specialize in payroll. And this lady said, yeah, well, give me the 5 best payroll companies. Now, first of all, anybody who asks a question like that is obviously not being serious. They're trying to trip you up, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, how would you answer that, Miguel?
Give me the 5 best payroll companies?
Yeah, somebody asked you that question.
That's hard. I would tell them. I would answer a question with a question.
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
he gets a star.
Yeah, I would answer. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
How do I give you a star? I want to give you a star. That's a reverse. We call that a reverse. You need to turn around and reverse that. I think I would have looked at her and said, for what? Who are we talking about? What kind of payroll? How many employees? Where are you? What states are you in? I need to know a lot more information before I can answer a question like that. But we interviewed somebody last week. She said, well, I wouldn't say like, well, ADP and paychecks. It says, no, don't. Why are you answering that question? See, that's one thing is they will come in and pop a question at you. I try to avoid answering questions, not unless they actually twice. If they ask the very same question twice, that means they want an answer. A lot of times they're just asking you because they kind of want to see you. They're feeling you out, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So that in answer to your question to that with the high end stuff, it's still an emotional decision. They're going to make that decision emotionally. They're only going to justify it logically.
Yeah.
So sales, it varies between industry to industry, but there are some things that are constant all the way across. And one is people definitely buy emotionally. If we didn't buy emotionally, every car would be black with 4 doors and square. Right? And we'd still have roll-up windows. Obviously, I mean, you were telling me, Miguel, didn't you get into somebody's Cybertruck and it was like getting into a spaceship?
Yeah. I actually took my wife's car to the grocery store last night, and I stayed inside of it for like an hour in the driveway playing with all the buttons. Um,
See, we're kids at heart.
yeah,
We're still kids. All right, I need to get going. I see people walking by. They're like, "Come on, John, you got people out here waiting." So, but Miguel, I should be freed up in a couple hours if you need to talk to me.
Okay,
Oh,
you got
there
it, buddy.
is. You decided to join us. Good to see you.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the camera was off. Yeah.
All right. All right,
All right,
guys.
John. Thanks a lot, man. It
I'm
was
gonna
the
stop the
information was
recording.
awesome.